Commissioner Mayor, good afternoon. Every day there's laws made, ordinances, whatever you want to call them. There's thousands and thousands of laws of all different species. We have securities in exchange that were never enforced during the meltdown. We have laws that in the state, in every jurisdiction, we require one thing, is enforcement. And I think the city does a tremendous job with what they have right now concerning the seat belts, etc. But concerning the issue of federal agents, I think that's a given. We have no jurisdiction under, to my opinion, under that matter. The city police is in the lower echelon of enforcement. It's the government, federal government, the state, and then we have the county and local and state police, city police. And like I say, we should not consider the authorities at that level, because public safety is for the general public. The enforcement is a different entity altogether. Because sometimes you're not going to force them to have their seatbelts, because maybe they're going to have to get off immediately when they're chasing somebody, you know. They know what they have to do. They are going to have to take that decision. But our job here, to the general public, yes, it's enforcement. And in order to enforce, what do we need? We need more police officers. We need more police cars. We need to increase the police force, because we're down, I don't know how many elements, and it has been brought up many times. And you have no problem then, because that's what it takes, enforcement. And you know, concerning the motorcycle and all those things about the helmet, well, you have to have a hard head like the mayor and a new mustache to drive a motorcycle, because he likes that, you know. And there's people who say, you know, I use it for safety. He doesn't need it because he has a hard head. Right, Mayor?
Pretty resilient, Mr. Reese. Pretty resilient. You made my day. Sonia?
Good evening, Mayor and City Commissioners, regarding
Put
this
the mic
issue.
further up, because it's hard for people to hear in the back.
Okay.
I can hear you, but
Okay.
sometimes I can't. But people in the back are having a hard time hearing.
Regarding this issue of the cell phone, I concur with Mr. Troiani, Commissioner Troiani, because how much more things are we going to be losing? And lives, yes, but what about your liberties? We have liberties, and we're very proud of what we have in this nation. I'd like to see it continue. The more we take away, the more we'll be like other nations that are 0 to nothing, in my eyes, okay? How hypocritical can it be if we're going after cell phones? You have 80 and 85 and 90-year-old people driving cars. These people are driving cars in the state of Texas. What are we doing about that? How many people have they killed? Probably a lot. I don't know the statistics, but if we're going to look at the issue, let's look at it all the way around, because there are dangers that we are not really addressing. What about moms and their soccer moms and all the kids that they pile up in one van, and everybody's talking and everybody's throwing things around? How hazardous is that? There are hazards, yes, but we're not looking at them. We're looking at one single issue, and when you pass that cell thing on the school zone, I think that's adequate. I think that'll cover a lot. It certainly will put people to think about what they're doing and how much attention they're paying to their driving. I believe that there is a concern, and there should be, but it's not all of it. We are going to be losing our liberties. Take away, I drink a Coca-Cola in my car. Am I going to be breaking the law?
That's being ridiculous.
No. I'm asking. I'm asking. And you mentioned what I see is revenue, more revenue for the city, and that's fine, but at the cost of who?
We're talking about one issue. We're not talking about all the other stuff you're talking about here. We're talking about one issue, and that's public
I'm
safety,
comparing.
Public safety, because people don't have, not that they can't use a phone, not that they can't use a phone. that they can't be holding the phone, texting on the phone, responding to emails, dialing out, which puts people at risk. We're talking about one issue, not about all this other stuff you're talking about. And this is to save lives. Now,
Right.
I respect your opinion, and I welcome it, but you're distorting what we're talking about. It has nothing to do with Coca-Cola. It has nothing to do with any other stuff. It has to do with distraction while driving. I have personally been hit by somebody here on 14th and Adams on a red light by a lady that was on the phone. I was personally almost ran off the freeway by a lady again, so happened to be a lady, coming on a truck, on the phone, getting on the ramp of the freeway and moving 3 lanes over, oblivious to all the other traffic. That puts me, my family at risk, and everybody else around there.
Right.
Now, the seat belt is another issue that similar to this. Somebody had to make a decision, not based on the Coca-Cola drinking, okay, but based on is it worth making it mandatory to wear a seat belt to save lives. Same thing with a car seat for a baby. Now it's mandatory when before it was not. And yes, you might say it's encroaching on your liberty, but isn't sometimes government have to do that in your best interest for the overall good? That's what this is about. Now, you can sidetrack, you can put smoke and mirrors about Coca-Cola and all this other stuff, but talk about the risk of you're supposed to be focusing on your driving, not texting or being on the phone.
But I didn't even bring up texting. The only thing that I can add to that is if you consider what your police chief just said, overall in all of the state there was less than 1%. And Commissioner Camarillo brought that up. Well, what about us here in Brownsville? Probably a lot less. So I think the police chief has some pretty good figures, and I think that they should be taken into consideration. And I think that too many things are already taken from us, and I think that having the cell phone, people not use the cell phones on the school zones, I think that's appropriate, and I think that that's the way it should stay, and that's my opinion.
Thank you, Ms. And for the record, nobody's taking away the use of cell phones. You can still use the cell phone, but you have to have your hands free. Anybody else? Public hearing?
Roberto Uresti. First of all, you have to put up signs coming into Brownsville saying this is a no text, no phone deal. So you're going to have to make a whole bunch of signs, not only to all our entrances coming into Brownsville, telling everybody, because you don't want to surprise them with a ticket of $600. And you better have them all over town, too. Number 2 is, sometimes I see the police officers all using their cell phones all the time. And that is true. Now, they're smiling and showing their teeth, so it must be some good action going on in Brownsville. Or maybe it's not important. But the question, but the chief did answer a question. That they cannot use their personal cell phones for communication with the city police. They need to be called on their equipment that they have there, sir. So why are they using their phones? They shouldn't use it at all right now. They should be the example. And that's true.
The chief of police agrees with you, by the way.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you all, can this thing? We don't want to live in a socialist system already in this Brownsville. Okay? And we're getting to a point we're going to be ultra-socialism. And if people don't understand what I'm saying is, we're going to be like little puppets, and they're going to pull our strings for anything. And they're going to tell us what to do, how to do it, and which way to do it, and that is getting out of control. This is a free country. I don't like texting. I don't like people using the phone. I don't even have a text because I cannot afford it. It's 10 cents a deal or buy unlimited. Okay? I buy the cheapest thing just to be called, and that's it. And I wish that the commissioners consider that. It's not an important issue at this time. It is not let the state do the role it's supposed to. The police officers have enough problems already. Let them do their job. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Uresti.
My name's Roman Bettis. I wanted to ask a few questions, and hopefully these questions can, if they can't be answered by you, can be answered in your forum. or your research. The question needs to be asked is how many cities in the Cameron County actually have a ban on cell phones? And before they put the ban in place, how many people had been, how many accidents or potential accidents were there where the cell phone was used or was a factor? And also, here in Brownsville, have you all maintained any records, or maybe the chief has those records, as to how many people the cell phone was a contributing factor in those accidents? That's important. And I'm glad that that question for statistics was asked by the member of the City Commission, because it surprised me that this item was placed on the agenda without ever consulting your chief of police in regards to how this ordinance was worded. It surprises me.
You're wrong, because the chief of police was consulted 2 years ago about this.
But not when this agenda was placed on it. And 2 years ago, it might have been placed
That's
on,
why
but
it's
you didn't
considered
remind
for-
him. And usually, I believe the ordinance says after 6 months, if you're going to put it back on, you can't be on the losing side and put the agenda back on. But it's obviously within, way past the 6 month period. But you should have contacted him before this item was placed. And it surprises me that this ordinance was put in place, and the ordinance has been up here for the last 15, 20 minutes, and people are still asking questions as to whether hands-free devices are going to be put in the ordinance itself. It's obvious the city attorney had made this ordinance, and it's up there. Use of cellular telephones and other handheld communication devices while operating a motor vehicle is prohibited. Use of hands-free communication devices shall be permitted. It's very obvious it's up there. Read it for yourselves, and it's surprising that some of you don't do it. You were going to say something?
Yes, we all did read that, but when the mayor was talking about it, there was some confusion in the language he chose to use when he was describing
Well,
it, so we needed some clarification.
Yeah, I'm glad you
so that's
clarified.
why.
No, I mean, you should correct him itself, because if he's the one making this, the third sentence itself says public safety personnel are excluded, which is obvious that they aren't excluded from the way this ordinance was worded.
Let me
Yes, sir.
answer something for you. I didn't draft the ordinance, okay? My job as mayor is to bring the issue for discussion, debate, consideration, and action,
Okay.
okay? This is a public hearing to hear from you, to get those viewpoints that can be incorporated into this thing. This is not meant to be a final proposal or one person's proposal. It's a community proposal, okay? And if you heard what I suggested earlier, to allow the city attorney to go back and work on this, contact other cities, look at other ordinances, and draft something that would be acceptable for worthy of consideration of this commission to host public hearings on. So this is not intended to pass as is, but to have discussions on it. In leadership or in decision-making, you're always going to have those that say no, and you're going to have those that say yes. And you're never going to please everybody. It's impossible. And there's always reasons, or somebody can always tell you how to better do it. But the thing is that we as elected officials should have the political will to act in the best interest of this community, how we see it. Now, we don't have to agree. And if we fail, I'd rather fail trying, okay? And if we save one life, to me, that's worth it. And if we lose 5 lives because we did nothing, then you can say, Panama did try. Okay? So, based on this, I didn't draft it. And it is for consideration, and we welcome the input.
What you could have done, Mayor, is possibly put it up for discussion as opposed to having a public hearing saying we're going to pass this, because it seems as though you did some sort of research. It seems to me that you really didn't do the research, because if you really did do the research, you would have found that only 31 people in the state of Texas had been killed as a result of using cell phones. I'm also curious to know if there have been other cities where, prior to passing the cell phone ban, how many people had been, in those accidents or being killed, and what has been the case afterwards, and how many people have been cited. It'd be interesting if you could maybe even ask your city chief of police to maybe, for the next month, maybe all of December, ask the police officers when they do ticket somebody if cell phone use was a contributing factor to that accident, or whether that did contribute to the distraction or led to their reckless driving, so you could bring back to that information to the people, and then maybe they can decide whether or not this is an issue that needs to be taken up by you and passed and do exactly what this wording is, or maybe do the wording a little bit differently. That's just my suggestion. I thank you for listening to me.
Like I said, I can't please everybody. I'm satisfied that we need an ordinance. However it comes out, it's fine with me. And if it doesn't come out, that's fine with me too. Okay? Okay. Anybody else?
I just want to point the people at home and anybody here in the room, you can go on the web at the Governor's Highway Safety Association. That's www.ghsa.org. It's got a whole section on cell phone driving laws. It talks about how many states have banned, and it talks about texting, and it talks about each individual states and all of
Mr.
their
Perez,
rules.
are you paying attention? He's giving you a website so you can get some of that information that you want.
And obviously, this is something that we can continue to discuss, and we'll see what happens.
Okay. Get the website from him, and you might get some of the questions answered.
Ladies, when they're driving their vehicles, they're putting their makeup on and driving at the same time.
I'll leave that to you, sir.
We need to put that in there also, sir.
I think there's a law already for that.
I think there's an
Anyway.
exemption for that. I think that's something you'll take
Okay,
up at
this-
home.
This is a public hearing. Can we close public hearing? Can I have a motion for public to close? We have a motion to close by Commissioner Longoria. Can I have a second? We have a second by Dr. Gowan, Commissioner Gowan. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries to close. Could we have a motion to instruct the city attorney to look into this, find out how many other cities have this kind of ordinance or other ordinances similar, and come up with a proposal for consideration and action and public hearing at, say, in January, or that'll give him plenty of time. January will give you plenty of time,
Mayor?
city attorney?
And for general housekeeping or for Robert's rules, instead of closing a public comment, wouldn't we just rather have a continuance on public comment versus closing the public comment? That way you would have ample time to be able to do it and thus not have closed the public hearing?
But no, I think you can't, because it's gonna be too long between now and when you bring it back. If it's gonna bring back next meeting, I think that'd be the way to go. But if we're gonna, like, if we're gonna give it till January to come, because it's obviously gonna take time. And this is not the only thing you're working on, I'm sure.
The other thing is, I'm unsure of what the motion is in terms of understanding whether or not this is necessary. If it's not necessary, then why draft an ordinance restricting it? I think first, this commission might
Proposal.
make a determination as to whether or not it's necessary or not before instructing an ordinance to be drafted.
That's right.
Well, I would like to see some language, and also some more data or information for us to consider. How do you all want to do it?
I'd follow council's advice and ask for a vote.
And ask for a vote?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is an action item. Do you all want to do this, or you don't? You all want to pursue this or not? Can we have a motion for or against?
I move to strike.
We have a motion to strike. Can we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay.
Who was the other name?
2 nays. And Dr. Gowan, Commissioner Gowan, how did you vote? Okay. There's 4 ayes, so this fails. There's no need to further discuss or bring it back. At least I tried. Okay? Next item. Public comments.
Item 8, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance
Oh, I'm
number
sorry.
2009-856-00, to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Brownsville by amending ordinance number 856, Chapter 15, Garbage and Trash of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Brownsville, Section 15-8, specifying charges for sanitation service, by amending subsection C1 and 4A, providing for an effective date, providing for severability, and ordaining other provisions relating to the subject matter thereof.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, can you move it, please? Thank you. This is, obviously, this ordinance is calls for a rate increase for the residential garbage fees, Allied Waste, or used to be BFI, is requesting a 5% monthly rate increase, which equals to 67 cents for one container, 86 for two containers, and 94 cents for the backdoor walk-in services. The contract between the city and Allied Waste allows the garbage rate to increase by up to 5%. The reason why we're having a public hearing is because the city is also requesting an increase in its share of the amount that it keeps.
What's the city's share of that 5%?
Let me go to the next. Let's go to the schedule. Let's look at this schedule. The upper part of that schedule shows the current rates. It's right now the BFI, or they keep $13.40 for one container, and the city retains 4.46%, or dollars, which is the total amount right now. It's $17.86. For two containers, waste, the BFI keeps $17.19, the city keeps $5.72, and for backdoor or walk-in, the current rate is $18.88 for BFI and $16.28 for the city. As far as the percentage, let's go to the next slide, please. Right now,
go back to the other slide, please.
Yeah, this particular slide tells you the percentages. The BFI keeps 75.94%, and the city retains about 24.06%. Let's go back to the previous slide, please.
But, Pete, correct me if I'm wrong. We need more money, so we're looking to increase our revenues.
That's correct.
So we want to increase it by 5%.
We're increasing the BFI portion, or Allied Waste portion, by 5%, and that's part of the contract.
So, I'm sorry to interrupt, but is the increase proposal our proposal, or is it BFI's
That's
proposal?
where I was going.
The reason why we have a public hearing is that because we are asking the city for an increase to the city's portion. Because of the contract that we have with BFI, if we would not to increase the city's portion, then because of the contract that we have, we wouldn't need a public hearing. I hope I answer that correctly.
Okay.
But my concern is this: if we're asking because we need more money, and they're benefiting by us raising it, why is that? Why can't we just increase it for what we need for the city?
Well, we are increasing.
They're not making the request, is that right?
We're increasing it. No, they are requesting the 5% increase.
But that's per their contract.
As per the contract.
As per the contract.
So in other words, if we did not ask for a portion coming to us, an increase for us, we wouldn't need a public hearing because the contract specifies that they are allowed to increase the rates, their share, up to 5%. We would have to come to you to ask for a percentage increase, and that's what we're
Additional
doing.
to the 5%.
Right, to go above the. Let me continue. Hopefully, if I can continue, I can cover all this. Let's assume here that we don't have a city increase. We will maintain the 446 for one container, 572 for two containers, and 628. For the backdoor walk-in. In other words, assuming that we don't get a single cent, the increase obviously across is 5% for BFI, as you can see on the very bottom, 5%, 5%, 5% all the way through.
What's the inflation rate?
The inflation rate, this is something that we had. I guess we can go back to 2008 when the inflation rate was very high. We defer the rate increase way back then, so they're trying to make up for the shortage that I guess we had during that period. We haven't had a rate increase since April of 2006 for residential rates. Let's go
Here
back.
you're talking about containers.
Yeah, now let's go back to the other slide, please, because I cannot move this. Look, second one. Let's go to the next one. Okay, this one. Again, we are going from, in our case, the city's rate would go from 446, as you can see on the upper part of the first column, to 479. That's 33-cent increase. BFI has a 67 cents, we have a 33-cent increase, which equals to $1. In other words, the homeowner for one container would be paying, if we pass this ordinance, $1 more per month. Their rate would go from $17.86 a month, which includes the BFI portion, the city's portion, from $17.86 to $18.86, and that's for one container. For two containers, it would go from $22.91 to $24.20. The city's portion would be 43 cents, BFI 86 cents. And for the back door of the walk-in, 94 for BFI, 47 cents for the city. By maintaining this, let's go to the last slide, please. Last one. Can you go back? Okay, right now we estimate we have approximately 38,325 customers that are receiving this type of service. The average increase that the city is requesting is 33 cents per container. That generates approximately $12,647.25 per month. On the average, yearly average, it's $151,767. There is a 3% collection fee that the PUB charges. That's $4,553.01. So the average yearly net increase that the city would get if this ordinance approved is $147,214.
Let me ask you, the contract increase is mandatory, 5%?
Yes, sir, it is.
And what is the inflation rate?
The inflation rate today is not as high as it was in 2008.
What is the
okay?
inflation rate today?
Let me go back, Mayor. In 2008, April 2008, there was a rate that was above, that was around 7.43%. There was 5% for, I don't have the information with me, but it was 4.67, I believe, for the CPI. And then there was also an increase for the fuel cost. In other words, way back in 2008 of April, it went up. That increase was deferred. There was no increase set up at that time. Like I said earlier, that the latest increase that the city had was April 1st of 2006.
2001?
2006.
Okay. And compare gas prices back then and now, are they higher?
They were higher than, way back then.
They were higher back then, so
Yes.
are they rolling back their rates maybe?
Now we're trying to catch up to what we didn't get way back in between 2006 and 2000.
So again, what's the inflation rate today?
Right now, I would say it's a very low rate, inflation rate. I just don't have it with me, but it's,
Well, the U.S. inflation rate forecast based on the Consumer Price Index at November 2009 is 0.0. In October, it was -0.6.
right.
Sure, that is not the inflation rate.
Well, no, this says U.S. inflation rate forecast, Financial Forecast Center. You want to go in the cost of living index, or do you want to go the?
What banks charge each other to do business is 0.00. That's a different story altogether.
Okay, well, this was not meant to cause a debate here on this, okay? Because, I mean, we're talking about más o menos here, but the thing is, by contract, we're forced to raise 5%.
Well, by contract, because we didn't raise it in April of 2008.
Okay. I don't like it. What?
Sorry,
Commissioner.
is trash pickup a contract that goes out for bid, or do we just continue to renew?
The contract that we currently have, Commissioner, expires March 31st, 2010.
So will this
We are going to go out for bids, yes. The answer is yes.
And will this happen now or in March at the end of that contract?
This rate that we are proposing would go into effect December 1st, 2009.
And this is by contract, we have to do this.
Right.
I have a comment. This contract has had extensions many, many times over. And as I understand it, it hasn't gone out for proposals or bids in quite a while. So I don't see why we would need an increase now. If we're going to go out for proposals or bids in March, maybe we wouldn't need to do this. Maybe we'll get a better proposal or a better bid that wouldn't, that we wouldn't have to increase residential costs, fees.
Right.
And there's
The-
a difference between residential and commercial.
This also includes brush pickup, and BFI also picks up for commercial establishments.
How does that
And,
affect the commercial?
yeah, they're going all out. This particular company has done quite a bit for us the last few years because when there's I know in the past when we had freezes, they were out there with their trucks picking up all the brush, not only for residential but also for commercial. But we are going to go out for bids for the next try around.
And let me ask you, this will not, it should not, but just to satisfy my curiosity, this will not affect in any way the commercial end of
This
the
is
trash pickup?
this is strictly residential.
Okay, and we're bound, again, we're bound by contract to do this, right?
The 5%.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
The 5%.
yeah.
Yes, if we don't want to consider the city, then the increase, can you go back? And we won't get the
Take out
100.
the 33 cents.
We take out the 33 cents, yes. In other
Okay,
words, it will only go up 67 cents.
What is the wishes of this commission? Oh, this is the public hearing?
It's a public hearing.
This public hearing.
Sir, there's also a tax included in the full amount of the 1407 plus the 479. That you get. They don't get anything. So what I'm going to recommend to this city is that, you know, the entities that can create a revenue for the city, we have them privatized. So let's get our marbles together and let's go back into the business because we have the dump, you see? And we can also buy, since we're recycling, we can buy the apparatus, whatever it costs. Let's issue debt because it's going to produce money for the city. Let's issue debt. It's right now very low at 3 or 4% for whatever you need to get the best equipment to process all the trash that we have in Brownsville and maybe harden and bring it in. Because that's going to be money for us. And we're going to have to start picking up our trash. Because, you know, we cannot continue to penalize the taxpayer. And then, as you know very well, sir, we have how many increases for next year in the PUB that you're proposing? 5? 5 and 1 whack. So, you know, let's go into the business again. We have good management. Now we need to get our irons in the fire and say, you know what? It's time to bring back the bus business to the city and bring the trash and whatever we need. You know, maybe we can think of other things besides buses because, you know, we're 120 years behind New York. Sooner or later, in the near future or in the short term and long term, we're going to need another type of transportation because the highways are already, they're going to be saturated. If you see New York with 8,000, what do you call those, las tranvías, metro, and look at the traffic they still have. Can we in the valley plan? But let's not plan like we plan with Texas Service Gas because they'll take us to the laundry again.
This is a public hearing on trash.
Well, sir, I'm referring to this because so that you can be aware, so that your head, you grow your hair like Einstein and your mustache so that we can think
But
intelligently.
let's focus on the public hearing, Mr. Reed.
Well, sir, it is, because I'm telling you, sir, that it's time that you stop penalizing the taxpayer. What I'm giving you is ideas like I always do, and you know, what is the sense of having a public hearing if you always come ahead and say, and you put the big wall, just like Homeland Security.
By law, we're supposed to focus on what's here on the
Okay,
agenda.
sir. Let's get back to the trash business. Let's get rid of BFI. We don't even mention GMS. And let's keep the tax money, and let's keep the 479, let's keep the 1407. And let's get people to work. We need to create jobs. With the stimulus money that we have right now, we can borrow that money at a very cheap rate. Let's roll it.
I appreciate you staying on point.
Sir?
I appreciate you staying on point. Thank you.
I have to go with, I'm sorry, Roberto Uresti. I'm going to have to go back with Mr. Reese, that we used to have our own garbage collection, sir, and it was twice a week. I talked to Mr. Pettis here, and we were discussing the garbage of Westlaco, where he was born, and it's twice a week, and it's kind of funny that we're paying the same amount, and we're getting less service for this garbage. is BFI paying to dump that garbage in our city dump? That would be one of my questions.
Yes, they are.
They are. And that's included already with the whatever we're getting?
Yes.
Yes.
So that's all we get, that 479, right?
No, we get paid a fee for every load that they
So that's
drop
an
off.
extra income?
Yes.
Okay. So if you look at that, we don't need to increase it 33 cents there. But if we did go back to our own, if we have good management, good leadership, and I'm going to run off the figures, if you ran your own business collecting the garbage, you would make about $7 million a year. And you would employ people from Brownsville, not from Harlingen, because I'm going to say this, a lot of those people from BFI are from Harlingen. Thank you very much.
Really. I guess the best thing for me is not to say anything, but I'm going to say it anyway. In theory, I agree with you. We should go back to managing our own garbage, picking it up, and it should be a moneymaker, in theory. But as a practical matter, it doesn't work. We had it under the city. It was not very productive. It was not profitable. It was very, very costly. A lot of it has to do with the mindset of government employees versus the private sector. You have a lot of claims from the health insurance and so on, the hours that they don't produce as well in some instances. And that's why it was privatized. I was here when that happened, and I was against the privatization. I can tell you I was against it. And I can admit to you that I was wrong. Because after I got in 1990 and I looked at the matter, I found out the city manager was right. In theory, you like to run it as a business and it should work out as everybody thinks, that we should make lots of money. But it doesn't, and the city manager can address this better than I can, but I think you will say I'm right on that, but that's up to you. Also, the capital cost to go into this venture would be very costly.
I think
The maintenance.
I think it's important to understand that we have two contractual agreements, one for commercial.
A little higher.
We have a contract, we have a residential garbage contract with Waste Management, or BFI, and we have one with GMS for commercial. Now, everything that is picked up in our city by contractual agreements has to go to our landfill. Every piece of garbage they pick up has to go to our landfill, and we charge them. So we are in the business of trash collection, because we utilize our landfill, and it's mandated that they take everything to our landfill. Plus, within the contracts, they have to pick up brush for monthly from all residents of the city for free. There's no charge. And they have to take that to the landfill as well, and we charge them again. They pick up commercial brush, and they don't charge us, and they have to take it to our landfill, and we charge them. So we are making money by utilizing both of these entities to collect trash from our city. When we go through our budget process, we're having a huge issue with our budget process. As you know, we are having problems. The one place that does make money for us is our landfill. And it takes a lot of money to run that landfill, but we are being productive at the landfill. The only thing we don't have is our own company and our own employees. That takes time to, we're going to have to invest in employees, we're going to have to invest in the undertaking of buying all the equipment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And as Mayor, as you know, in years ago, the issue with having our own garbage collection was a big issue with employees and injuries and things like that, which we don't have to look at by privatizing these companies. So I think it works out very well. The confusion here is that we put it on the agenda because we're requesting a percentage increase for the city. That doesn't have to be the case, but we do need to pass the issue of giving them the 5% increase.
What was the last time the rates were increased? Is it 2005?
It's
Mayor, I mentioned April 2006, it's April 2007.
2001?
7.
2007.
But it is time to, we need to work on this, and we need to give the increase. They are requesting it. Their books show that we have not given them an increase. And we're working that out with them, but, that's all that's being asked of us is to do the increase.
Charlie, but the '07 increase was the additional amount the city requested, not the 5% that's as per the contract, correct?
No, I believe it was our percentage increase.
I'm sorry?
Traditionally, every time we bring this to the agenda, we ask for a percentage
Right.
increase for the city as well.
So that increase in '07 was the city's increase, not the CIP? Or it didn't include?
When we vote. No, it was probably
It was the
both.
city's increase,
It was-
correct? And the CIP. So it wasn't until '07, what I'm saying is, it wasn't until '07 when the city increased the CIP by 5%, but the additional 25 cents, whatever it was, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
For it to be on the agenda, it's because we requested an increase with the
Right.
city. It doesn't necessarily have to be on the agenda because it is a contractual agreement
That's right.
that the commission has already approved for us to give the CPI increase.
And I think we did it 25 cents back then, 20 cents for the city, I think it was. Okay, well, the city is in need of money, so I mean, this is a good way to generate money to balance the budget.
It's up to the commission.
Yeah,
That's the burden we put on the commission, is requesting a percentage increase with
I
the city.
understand.
Mayor,
And
If
think
I can
nobody
ask a question?
Nobody can argue that the landfill is productive to us and making money. But to go back to taking over garbage in-house and do it in-house would be very costly upfront to get the equipment and, like you said, the personnel, maintaining, and also carry the personnel, the health insurance and the injuries and.
Mayor,
Like-
may I ask
like-
a question?
Yes.
Okay, well.
Mayor, may I
this
ask a question, Mayor? I just have I just actually want to make a comment. You know, I think it's important not to rule out the possibility of considering a study to be done, not a paid study, but maybe getting a graduate students from the public policy program to maybe look at a cost-benefit analysis of doing this service in-house, just to look at what it would mean. In private business, you look at long-term, and long-term is, we're gonna apply whatever we need to do to hopefully get that return down the road. What we're doing here is we're saying, well, no, we want it to benefit us right now, but is that necessarily the best thing long-term for the city? I don't know. And so I don't think we could just think, or just say this arbitrarily, well, it should be. I really would like to see some sort of a study, and it doesn't have to be a paid study, Pete, but
Yeah.
just to go back and look, because again, if you look at other cities and just locally right now, city of McAllen, I don't know how well they do or they don't in terms of they do their own garbage and they do curbside recycling. But they're also doing a lot of other things that we're not, or I think we could do a little bit better. But to see what those numbers look like, look at their books. And I think that's part of going back and seeing, could we do some things better? And when we were doing our own trash service, of course, we'd have people that got hurt. Well, why? They were on the back of a truck, holding on for their lives, picking up these 50-pound, 60-pound, garbage containers. Everything today is automated, so of course people were going to get hurt then. They weren't wearing anything to protect themselves. They were doing it all. It was physical labor. Now it's not. So, I mean, I think we should keep options open just to look at what if.
Please come up to the, please come up to the mic, please.
This is not a matter of public policy.
What do you mean, Mr. Reese?
We have already addressed that. This is a matter of an economic analysis that will take the measurements that are necessary, and not from the school here at the university. Your students are not
cost-benefit
prepared to do
analysis,
this
sir. It is
kind of a
economics.
study. I know, BC. I have a master's degree in political sciences, sir, with a subfocus in finance, you see? And I'm telling you that this belongs in the area of economic analysis. Then you get an expert that will come and make the study. Because, there are areas, there are electric plants that are running. They're plants, they're electric plants, not with gas, no petroleum. They're running it with all the garbage that they collect. That's what they're doing. And in fact, we have an example here in this small town where the sugar is, sugar factory? Santa Rosa. They use toda la rebaba de la cosa del azúcar, la usan para correr sus plantas. So, We need to get into the 21st century. And you know, we need to start implementing other, and you know, let's spend the money right now because you can borrow it cheap. And we have the stimulus plan. Okay, we have the dump is ours. Well, now we're not going to charge you for you to dump it because sooner or later you're going to run out of space. So let's process it. Let's see what we can extract from it that will bring us money. Like you have the plan, and with who is Mr. Martinez, who's in charge of that department, Mr. Ahumada. She's doing it in a small scale. Well, we can do it in a bigger scale. And maybe we can bring in the trash and charge other areas, other cities that don't have the big dump that we have, that do not have the infrastructure. But let's get modern, let's get rolling. And we have to spend, let's spend. Because this will be less in the future for the taxpayers. Because by the time you know it, you'll be taking the Social Security taxes if you keep that. Or whatever you call it, Medicare. Obama already took a share, now you want the rest.
I don't think we'll have Social Security by the time we
Can
get
I ask
there.
one question?
Commissioner Triani?
Mr. Kabler, the 5%, or Pete, one of the two, the 5% increase is a contractual increase that we're required by contract to implement?
Yes.
Okay, and there's
Yes,
no, it's not tied to any of the inflation rate or the consumer price index or
No.
anything like that?
It is.
Okay, well,
Remember what I said earlier, that the calculation that was done in 2008 had the 5%, but that particular rate increase was deferred.
But it's not current inflation.
Right now,
rate.
the question,
right, because
you
right
asked-
now, the current inflation rate is negative
Zero.
1.3,
It's almost zero, yes.
and the consumer price index is between 0.4 and 0.2. So, I mean, it is a good time as far as financially, if we could get the money or to invest in something like that, if that's even feasible. You know, if we're going to look at bids, is this going to come up for bids? Are we going to be talking to
We're gonna-
Allied and?
It's going to come up for bids, yes.
In March, our contract expires with BFI April 1st. We're already working on the proposals through
Okay.
our purchasing. So it'll be up, yes, and then these things might change once we start doing the proposal, RFQs and things like that, and meeting with the interested parties in relating to wanting to do business with us as residential garbage.
Thank you.
Mr. Tony, it's the prime rate, sir, it's at 0.0, not the inflation rate.
Okay,
It's
this
zero.
is a
Okay,
public
let's get-
hearing.
I want to make that for the record because that has a lot to do with what we're talking about.
I understand that.
Okay.
Public hearing.
Sorry, I don't want to drag this out, and I understand that y'all are tired, considering this item 8. My question is the CPI index, oh gosh, I'm talking to Charlie. I don't believe it's an act of good faith if BFI is asking 4 months prior to the end of their extension, of their contract, to be coming to you saying, we want our 5% max capped out CPI increase. I don't think it's an act of good faith. I think you should go back to BFI and tell them, look, I mean, the contract's going to expire in 4 months. You're trying to get, extra, I don't know, what, it's 67 cents? I don't know how that multiplies to each customer for the next 4
Stop you
months.
there.
Okay.
By contract, this needs to be done now.
No, but
But
it
it should
needs
have
to
been
be
done
done
months ago, right, Pete? This should have
18 or
actually
almost
happened
2 years ago, but they deferred.
months
Who
ago.
deferred it?
No, I'm just saying it should have been done months ago. It's coming to us now. But,
Right.
So
you
by
know.
contract, we have to do.
Yeah, but who deferred it? Why, I mean, why did BFI say, you know what, we don't want our increase this time around? Was it the city who said, no, we don't want you to do it, or was it BFI who did it? And why isn't there a representative from BFI here to say, hey, this is why we're asking for this?
We don't need, this does not need to come before the city commission.
Okay?
It's already done. The reason it's being done is because we're asking for 33 cents
Mm-hmm.
to be raised in addition to the 5%.
Okay, so why is the city asking for that 33
Because
cents?
we're having budgetary problems.
Okay, was the $147,000 that's going to be included, or it was that planned in the budget that you all passed in the middle of September? Was
No,
that?
but we're foreseeing, we've been having problems since before I got elected.
I completely understand that,
We
Mayor.
were dipping into the reserves. We got a $3 million grant from PUB. So we know we better start being proactive and looking for ways to increase revenues.
Right.
This is, Pete, correct me if I'm wrong, this is one of the ways, it's a little bit here, a little bit there, that would help us offset the train collision we're gonna face in October.
I understand that we're in a budget problem, I really do. I'm hoping that the
Correct me if I'm
economy will.
wrong, Pete, but I think that's what you do.
Go.
I'm gonna get off the subject, but Friday of this week, we're gonna have a rating meeting, credit rating meeting with Fitch, and I'll pass out some of the questions that they're asking.
And part of it is-
Obviously, they're gonna be asking our financial condition for the fiscal year, and we're gonna be showing them that the fund balance dropped about 1.3, 1.5 billion from the previous year. And they're going to be asking us, what are we going to be doing to improve our financial condition? I know that I'm getting off the subject, but I'll pass it out now that I have the opportunity.
Okay, I make a motion to close public hearing?
Second.
We have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. I make a motion to pass the recommended rate by the finance director, which is a 5% in addition to 33 cents.
He can.
Can we have a second?
Mark, City Attorney, can the mayor make the motion? Oh, okay. Just wanted to.
Can we have a second? I'm just trying to speed things up, guys. It's either do or don't. One of the-
Can you repeat your motion, please?
I make the motion to follow the finance director's recommendation to increase the rates by, which is total dollar, 5% plus 33 cents. The 5% by contract and the 33 cents as requested by the finance department to help us with the future, with the budget and also with the ratings that we're going to be under review. We have a second. Can I, any further discussion? All in favor? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
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 Nay. We got 4 nays. It failed. Sorry. You still get the 5% though. Good luck with the rating, people. It may cost you more in the end, citizens, because if our rating goes down, because we're not doing anything proactive, it's going to cost us more money. Okay. The public hearings, comment, public comment period.
You done?
Mr. Fernando Ruiz.
I'm sorry, where's the, number 1 is Cynthia and Garth, no, that's not it.
No,
Does he have
it's Mr. Fernando Ruiz.
I don't have the sheets. Who's the number 1?
Mr. Fernando Ruiz.
Mr. Reese? You're number 1. Who's number 2?
Ms. Leticia Garzoria
Leti Osoria. Do we have 3?
and Robert Uresti and Roman Perez.
Okay, that, in that order, please. You have 3 minutes. The commission cannot engage.
Commissioner,
Please-
Mayor,
please direct-
Commissioners,
Wait a second.
my name is Fernando Ruiz.
Please
With all
direct-
due respect, sir, I have a lot of sympathies for Mr. Hernandez also. In fact, I told you that I ran his campaign. He was the first Mexican-American mayor here in the city without any connections of the Anglo-Saxon. We got him elected, and this is why you all are here now. But you see, I have a, you know, I understand that I will glorify somebody when he deserves it. But you know, if you do not know the man, do not build his character, because I knew him. He was the first mayor of the city of Brownsville ever to get indicted. We're going to praise that? Of course not. So when we speak solemnly about a person, let's make sure we have facts. We need facts, especially if you've been in academia and journalism. You need to speak with facts. I know the facts. And you know, people also want to know facts. I'm out in the street every day, and people congratulate me for being here at the meetings for them because they're at work or whatever. And there's a question that they want answered. And I'm going to place this question to this commission right now, and I will terminate with that my day because I've had a rough day. They want to know, how did the check get in Mr. Omada's hand? That's the question. Now, I will leave it up to you, and let me see if you all will be praised in the near future, because the people of Brownsville, not me, I could care less, they want an answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. Number 2 is Leti Grasoria.
My name is Leti Garzoria, and there was an article in the paper regarding the public comment and moving it to a different time slot or making comments as to blazing guns or guns that were blazing when people were came up to the podium and so forth. And this is what I'm going to talk about. The mayor suggested that we talk to our commissioners before we come to the public hearing. Maybe our questions could be answered by the commissioners. And this was a suggestion by our mayor. That's what I'm talking about today. Commissioners do not return calls. So if your considered opinion is to talk to the commissioners, they don't return calls. Therefore, the only one that has returned calls has been the mayor. I have contacted the mayor since 2007 regarding a personal issue. He returns the calls right away, maybe within the next 5 or 10 minutes, and he returns the calls. Okay, one commissioner I called upon didn't return my call because he was too busy. He couldn't call me back. But he didn't bother to ask me what I wanted, or I needed his assistance regarding my concern. Later on, I saw him at a jazz fest, and he came up to me and he said, I haven't been able to return your call. I've been very busy. But that's the way it stayed. I'm still trying to see if he can return my call. This has been like about a month ago. Mr. Camarillo, I'm still trying to see if you can call me back. Another commissioner, which was called by me at his office, never returned my call as well. I saw him at an unrelated meeting, and he said he had too many calls, and he had a suggestion that at the next commissioners' meeting, he was going to suggest that this position be compensated because it took too much time for him away from his practice and so forth, and so he couldn't return any calls. Okay. In my opinion, if you hold a public office and you are a public servant, you are obligated to return calls, and the people that you serve have concerns. Mm-hmm. And if you have concerns, you want to go to the official that can take care of your concerns, or else you wouldn't have elected that official. Now, we trust our officials. We try and trust them with a very, very simple heart. But when you go to them for some kind of attention, not even a phone call, not even, I can't, I just couldn't, but what's your concern today? Let me try it. Nothing. That's a little bit irritating. It's kind of a little bit concerning, but anyway, I can't speak for anybody, but I do believe that the officials should return calls. I think an apology should be given to the person. And if you have a position that interferes with your job, and your job is more important, but yet you have asked the people to elect you, they elect you for a service. If you cannot comply with your service, then you should go ahead and resign your position because you cannot comply. And that's all I have to say. Thank you, Mayor, for returning all my calls.
Thank you, Ms. Osoria. Next person,
Roman Perez?
Mr. Perez.
I'm
You
sorry,
wanna use
Mr.
your time?
Uresti. It'll be Mr. Uresti.
Roberto Uresti, 1220, Calle Pluton, Galaxia. The first thing I'd like to tell the commissioners is that yesterday at Golden Corral, Mr. G. Hernandez, the general manager at Golden Corral, honored all the veterans, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, National Guard, and they are the only restaurant to give us a free meal for us. And I would love to see the commissioners here. If you have a heart, make a proclamation for those people because they're one
Put it on
great.
the agenda, City Secretary. I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, it would be very, very nice. The second thing I'd like to talk is about, again, the bus shelters. And I just want to put in the record, here's the pictures. I'll give it to Mrs. City Secretary. just showing you the condition of the Galaxia bus station. They put some hardtop, a small piece on it. I took this picture in the morning. In the afternoon, somebody put some hardtop on it, and now we have 2 holes, 1 in each side, and they just threw it there. And this is our only bus stop at Galaxia, okay? Second thing I'd like to talk about is I just got information that the old military highway up to 15th Street will finally be fixed, and they're coming up for bids. And a lady asked me to bring it up to y'all, but I was informed that it's going to be fixed and it's going up for bids. So finally, I'm very, very happy about that because it's really, really needed there. If you've ever driven to there, you can lose weight as you go very quickly. The next thing I'd like to talk about is I've been talking to the health department, and I talked to Mr. Rodriguez, and he sent a man out there real quickly because of mosquitoes. But I talked to Mr. Mancias, and he was very nice. He came to my house, and we spoke, and then I later had to investigate why mosquitoes were still there. At the end of Calle Pluton and Espacio, there's an abandoned house. There are 9 tires on top of the roof of the house. So now I found out where all the mosquitoes are coming from. So it will be very nice if the city, they're going to try to have those tires removed. There are 9 big tires on top of the roof of that house. Incredible. And the last thing I'd like to talk is about the public comment. And the public comment basically is coming up for action, and it doesn't really matter because Mayor Trevino moved it to the end. And I remember I was the last person here, and he made fun of me because he said, is anybody here for public comment? And I was here, and he forgot, and all the commissioners were leaving. And said, oh, Mr. Uresti is here. Oh, ha, ha, ha. Well, it doesn't really matter. I'm still going to be here. You can't say that you're against me or anything. No. But I'm happy to come here because I do get a lot of people talk to me and tell me you're doing a good job, and it makes me happy. But I wish that more people would come here, and I wouldn't mind that at all. I thank the commission. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Uresti. Mr. Torres, are you here, Santana Torres? Okay, the city manager, could you have him go look at that bus stop? Or is he here? Assistant city manager? Okay. If you don't mind, go look at the bus stop, see what you can do. It might need some concrete apron or something. Okay, because of the weight. Thank you.
I'd like to commend 2 of the commissioners for being able to stand there and not respond, even though their names were mentioned there in public comment. I'm actually very surprised that our city attorney didn't step up and defend you 2 for, being verbally attacked during public comment in violation of the agenda and meetings ordinance that was passed rather recently. And it brought me to want to come up here and talk to you about an open records request that I've asked from the city secretary's office and via the city attorney's office. Okay, thank you, Mayor. I've asked for specific open records requests, and what I've asked for is things that happen during city commission meetings. I've asked for handwritten and computerized electronic notes that happen on your city laptops. I've asked for your emails that occur on your city laptops during city commission meetings. I've asked for text messages that occur on your city cell phones, if you have them, during city commission meetings. I've asked for this information specifically because I notice that sometimes during meetings there's communication that occurs, whether it's amongst the city commissioners themselves or the mayor getting a cell phone call or something, or happen, little looks being made to people in the audience, or maybe there's some lobbyist or whatever saying, hey, I can't make it to a particular meeting, but I want you to vote in this particular way, and this is why. Thing is that when you're up there on the dais, you are representing, you're in your official capacity as a city commissioner, an elected official. I'm not asking whether you have, hey, honey, I'm going to make, pot roast for dinner. Hopefully you can make it on time or something. I'm not asking for that information. I'm asking for what communication is happening with regards to city business. But I'm bringing this up because I've had to ask the Attorney General's office to get involved because for the past 3 or 4 months I have been given a roadblock because of your city attorney. I wasn't given this request. The due diligence should have been received. I got the clarification a month after I asked for the request. And when I was asked for the request, he wanted to know, well, what meeting dates are you asking for? When I specifically asked for this city commission, and I gave him the link to the city website where all the meetings are. And apparently he feels that this is a refusal. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I'm hoping that, I know at least a couple of y'all know about this, I'm hoping that you as a city commission will understand that what I'm asking for is for transparency. I'm not going to use it to, say, oh, God, this particular person has a estacho or a estacho. I'm not curious about that. I just like to know what city business is happening under the table during an open meeting. And that's all I'm asking for. And I'm hoping that your city attorney will stop refusing my request. And that way the Attorney General doesn't have to rule on this in the next week or so. Because I do believe in transparency, and I know some people think that I don't believe in transparency. I'm just, up here to grandstand, and I really, truly am not, because I have made an attempt to talk to at least a couple of you about this request, and not to use this, but this is the best opportunity for me to let you all know. And in light of that, I'm hoping that you've hired the city attorney for, 8 months now? Maybe a performance review is in order, considering what just happened today. Thank you.
Thank you. City Secretary, has he submitted a written request?
Yes.
Has he put up the money necessary to respond?
There wasn't any need for any money at this point, because we were waiting to hear if we could get the information, and we do not have access to texts and emails, especially in city commission phones.
Okay.
And that was responded to by city attorney as well.
Okay. City Attorney, can you respond to his request in writing or something to that effect?
Mr. Mayor, we have responded to his request in writing, and we have asked for a ruling by the Texas Attorney General.
Okay, so
dealing with those issues. We are following the proper legal procedures.
So you're following up with it?
To address those
Okay.
concerns. Yes, Mr. Mayor.
That's all I can expect you to do. Okay. They're responding to your request, Mr. Perez? Okay. So that's all we can do is wait. Okay? It's not that they're following the procedures. Okay, anybody else?
That was it.
That's it? Okay, next,
Item number 10.
item 10.
Item number 10, consideration and action to authorize resolution number 2009-066 to sponsor an application by the Commemorative Air Force for statewide transportation enhancement program funds from the Texas Department of Transportation.
Mayor, move to approve.
We have a
Second.
motion to approve by Commissioner Longoria. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Camarillo. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Item 12.
Item 12, consideration and action on resolution number 2009-067 to direct placement of public comment period on city commission agenda.
Okay, this is another item I don't expect everybody to agree with or disagree with. It's something for consideration and action based on comments I've gotten from the public, based on comments I've gotten from city commissioners, based on what we've seen here that in many instances, the public comments are argumentative, out of order, and sometimes the dissemination of information that is not correct, and it gets out to the public who watches these meetings, and also it creates a perception sometimes that it's not very favorable to the city based on public comments that are based on unfounded or uninformed presentations or you're out of order, Mr. Reese, or misrepresentations of the facts. Repeatedly, I've seen that myself, to where statements are made that are found to be not true. I am accessible. I return all my calls as fast as I can, and I set up meetings with staff, the city manager, or myself to get answers to issues or questions, resolve issues before, and many times find out that there's not basis for it. And when there is a basis for it, we take the appropriate steps. And sometimes there's nothing we can do about it. Sometimes it's out of our hands. Like, for instance, I've heard public comments here that we didn't want to facilitate public information. Well, the request is made, and the request was quite detailed and a considerable request that requires people to pay for that information. And people come up here complaining that we're not being transparent and that we don't want to give them the information, but if they don't want to pay for the information that's required by state law, it's required by state law that we charge because it takes time from staff. Sometimes it's voluminous and it is costly. But to come up here and say that we don't want to provide that information is wrong. The fact is that they're not willing to pay for it. You're out of order, Mr. Reese. Okay, Mr. Reese, we have the right to disagree. We have the right to disagree, and let's do it respectfully, okay? Let's do it respectfully. You can disagree, but you can do it respectfully. We heard here how a tree cost $25,000, which was not true. We heard here that a bus stop was costing $10,000. It created a perception that it was the same type of bus stop that we have now when it has solar panels, which is not, it was not true. It was a lot of it was being done in-house. And I can go on and on and on of incidents that come up here that could be avoided if these people took the time to get the accurate information before they come up here, and many of those instances would not be a need for it. We welcome criticism. I do. I don't mind it. And if it's warranted, I don't mind being held accountable by the citizens if I'm doing something wrong. Bringing to our attention something that is worthy of consideration, that's constructive, I think that's good and healthy, or something that needs to be debated, I think that's good and healthy. But just to come up here to get on TV and just mouth off things that are not true creates a bad light for the city, and it makes us the laughingstock. Now, having said that, and talked to citizens who have complained to me about that, it is up for discussion right now. Like I said, if it passes, fine. If it doesn't, that's fine too. But I'm bringing a concern that I think that needs to be addressed, that's been talked about amongst ourselves individually, with citizens, and if it's worthy of consideration, to approve and move the public comments to the end and not televise them, and have those who really want to offer something constructive to bring to the table. We welcome it. And during public hearings, everybody has the opportunity to speak out during public hearings. And during consideration and action items, if you can contact your representative or me or the manager and give us what you would like to see us done, let us hear from you. We welcome that too. But I think to continue with meetings that are disruptive, counterproductive comments is not healthy or a good perception for our city. Yes.
I co-sponsored this item because I believe that it warranted discussion. It's something that we had discussed and previous commissioners had discussed and brought to the table before. But however, it's not something that I feel I can support. It's only 3 minutes per person. And I think that we are elected to listen to the good, the bad, the true, the untrue. And it doesn't take much to just sit here and listen to everyone who comes before us. I know sometimes we're probably biting our tongues to the point that it bleeds, but that's professionalism as an elected official, and that's what we're elected to do, is to listen. In fact, I think that the public comment should be at the beginning of the meetings. 15 minutes isn't a lot to ask for, to show some self-restraint, and I think it's also our job and the job of staff to contact individuals, public commenters. When there is some misinformation, we can let them know later, or we can bring it to the attention of the city in a subsequent meeting. But those are my comments, my beliefs, and like I said, I only co-sponsored it because I think it really warrants discussion, and it's something that has been a concern for some time.
And I appreciate you co-sponsor, and just because you co-sponsor doesn't mean you have to vote for it. It is healthy to bring it out and have a discussion on it. Does anybody want to add to that, or they concur with that? Do you want to make a motion to bring it up to the beginning of the meeting, or that's fine with me too? Go ahead.
Well, I think that when we started off, the public comment was at the beginning, and we've moved it basically to the middle. I don't think you need to punish people by putting it at the very end. Everybody has busy schedules. Everybody has time constraints. I think the people that do come here, they've sat through most of the meeting, they've heard most of the comments, at least the mayors of commissioners report by the time we get to the middle. And whether the information is completely accurate, whether it's true, we really can't control that. And there's no reason that we should have to control that. It is freedom of expression. They're going to make comments. If the information can be corrected at a later date, if it's incorrect, then it should be. But we shouldn't punish people because we don't like what they say, and we shouldn't tell them, oh, we're going to take it off the air, or we're going to put you at the end and make you wait. They're not school children. These are adults. They come out here to express their opinions and the opinions of the community.
Okay, so you concur with Commissioner Zamora. Do y'all feel the same?
I'd like to ask Mr. Sassi, what are the legal, what are we obligated to provide with respect to public comment, as far as television, timing, and all of that?
First of all, the city commission has no obligation to televise public comment. That's something that's at the discretion of the commission. Equally at the discretion of the commission is when you want to have public comment, whether you want to have it in the middle or whether you want to have it at the end of the meeting. I mean, those are things within the discretion of this commission.
Okay, anybody else? They want to concur with Commissioner Triani, Commissioner Zamora? That's fine with me. Y'all want to move it up to the front? That's fine with me too. But I don't want to hear no more complaints from the commissioners about this, because I've heard complaints from the commissioners. And
I don't think
and let me say this.
Well, I think you better out them because I don't think
Let me say this. All the other public entities that I know of have it at the end, okay? And my concern is this, the bad perception we're putting out about this city. When other cities look at us and they laugh at us, but what's going on here sometimes. I don't mind, and it's not intent to silence anybody at all. And I don't mind people coming in here and giving constructive comments for the benefit of this community. What bothers me is they come in here when they could easily resolve those issues and get proper information before they get over here and start blasting our city, or start blasting staff, or somebody that, when a phone call would have easily remedied that, or given them the proper information so they could talk here in a very constructive way. What I'm seeing is destructive, disruptive, and counterproductive. Now, you don't have to agree with me, and that's fine. And we can move it up to the front, that's fine. But I don't want to hear no more complaints from the commissioners.
Well, if I may, I mean, I don't think we're the ones that need to be throwing stones.
Okay.
I mean, we sit here as elected officials. We were elected by the public, and for us to sit here and throw stones at the public for their comments or their concerns or them coming out here to express their right and their freedom of speech, it's the pot calling the kettle black. We better look at ourselves before we start saying that the public comes out here and embarrasses our city.
And they can accuse me of throwing stones. I'm not throwing stones because I'm not taking your right from coming up here at all. I'm asking people to be more informed and be more constructive for the benefit of your community just as much as it's my community. For the benefit of our community to come here in a way that I think we're all going to benefit from, not just to blast, for blasting with bad information. That's all I'm saying.
Mayor, if I may, is it legal for us to add an additional maybe 5 minutes at the end of public comment to designate one individual, say the city manager, to address any misinformation in public comment?
The problem that we have is the reason that you don't have to post a subject item for public comment is because it's for the opportunity for people from the public to express things that they want to talk about. Once we start to have city officials addressing matters of public concern and those things aren't on the agenda, we run the risk of violating the Open Meetings Act.
So legally, we can't designate the city manager, not an elected official, but the city manager to address any of those concerns?
I'd be very concerned you'd be violating the Texas Open Meetings Act, because then you have city officials discussing certain things without having those things posted on the agenda.
So what is the best way to address those concerns or misinformation in a subsequent meeting?
Then the proper way to do it would be to post those items for discussion in subsequent meetings if those things needed to be discussed at a later time.
Okay, but we had here a suggestion to move them up to the beginning of the meeting. If you want to make that a motion, I'd be more than happy to entertain it. Sure.
Is there a way, Mr. Saucy, and other communities have to encourage more than the same people coming up for public comment all the time? I would like to hear from more people, not just the same people.
Well, the public comment that we have here is up to whoever signs up, so educating more people about the availability of public comment and encouraging more public participation would be the way to get a broader cross-section of people contributing.
And we post this at every meeting, make it public for everybody, right? Okay.
That's correct.
Mr. Perez, you care to say something?
I consider it not a public hearing. I thank you for recognizing me. I wanted to make a comment about item 12. I didn't want to mention it in public comment in the hopes that you would recognize me. But it seems to me that the section of the Texas Open Meetings Act in regards to responding to public comment says that there can be some factual statement made very, very brief. In the last, maybe Commissioner Zamora, maybe you recall this when you were blogging, that the former commissioners decided to take that right away from themselves because there was a sentence that was deleted from the previous ordinance to the new one, and nobody seems to know how it was deleted. I truly believe that there should be an opportunity for you to respond if there's a factual statement, and I don't think it would be a violation of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Maybe Mr. Saucy can look at that specific. I think it's a three-pronged response, because I don't feel that some of us just come up here to attack you for the sake of attacking. I mean, I really do believe that we try not to. I do believe that some of us do try to bring constructive criticism or bring some sort of information, like, for example, what I just mentioned. And I think I try to be as helpful as I possibly can. In regards to not televising public comment, there I would be concerned, because the public comment is part of an open meeting, and it is supposed to be part of the open meeting, the record of the open meeting. So not televising that or recording. Now, I don't want you to start thinking that I come up here just because I started televising. I can very honestly tell you the first time I ever came over here to this city commission was because I was concerned about a $3 fee that the mayor that I had just voted for wanted to put up. And I felt that it was time for me to just come, and I wasn't planning on speaking at every single meeting. I did that for a few times. I think I was telling one person outside that I think maybe I speak maybe 25 to 30% of the meetings that are public. I don't think you've all even seen me in 3 months. I know Mr. Benitez said, where have you been? Have you been sick or something? The thing is that, yes, some of us do speak at every single meeting. Yes, we do. I think because we have some concerns and we want to help you as best as we can. If you don't like it, I do apologize if you don't like it, but maybe next time don't run and accept it. So I thank you again, Mayor. I thank you.
Thank you. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. I don't care about the attacks towards me at all. Doesn't bother me one bit. When you up here with the big boys, get used to it. What bothers me is the bad light we put our city in. That's what bothers me. That when people come up here to talk and they don't have their facts and they're so way off the wall, it creates a bad perception of our city. That's what bothers me. You can attack me all you want about the check if you want, about anything. I've handled worse. You can't hurt me. And it doesn't even faze me. But what does faze me when I hear from the community of the ridiculousness of what is being spouted up here that is wrong. That's what hurts me, because that's our city we're talking about, and that's where I draw the line. That bothers me. But if the wishes of the commission is different from mine, hey, I brought it up. I don't mind bringing it up. It's healthy to bring it up for discussion, debate. I failed. I failed. Let the citizens that are watching decide whether I'm trying to do the right thing or not. If they feel that we are the laughing stock and we're allowing this to happen, then judge me when it comes for re-election time or whatever. I'm just trying to do what's best for our community. Based on that, what I'm hearing here, I'll take her suggestion. be careful what you wish for. I'll make the motion, put them up at the front of the meeting. Public comments. Motion made. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
We got a second. All in favor? All in favor? To move them up? Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
How many ayes?
Nay.
I make a motion that we keep it
I'm
status
asking for
quo.
the ayes. How many ayes?
Second.
How many ayes? 2 ayes. 4 nays. Okay,
There's a new motion. New motion's been, it's on the floor, Mayor.
So I would say either strike it and keep it status quo, or just motion to keep it status quo, the way it is.
Move to strike.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion to strike. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Enough time spent on this. Let's go on to the next one.
More than enough.
Item 13, consideration and action on resolution number 2009-068 in support of the Big Read program.
Would approve?
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Longoria, second by Commissioner Camarillo. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item 14, consideration and action on resolution number 2009-069 to authorize an interlocal agreement between the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and the City of Brownsville.
Good evening, Mayor, City Commissioner. This resolution is only to allow the City of Pine Bluff in Arkansas to use or piggyback in one of our contracts to purchase transit vehicles, transit buses. That's all it is.
Would approve.
We have
Second.
a motion to approve by Commissioner Longoria. We have a second by Commissioner Troyani. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item 15, consideration and action to authorize amendment number 2 to the Brownsville Urban System Site Preparation Package for the Brownsville Multimodal Terminal Project for asbestos abatement.
Staff recommendation would be to authorize amendment number 2 to the Brownsville Urban Bus System for the site preparation package for the Brownsville Multimodal Facility, the BMT project for asbestos abatement. It was found in 2 of the buildings currently under demolition, and it is mandated by the state. It's required by the state, so that's why we're bringing it
Move to
before
approve.
City Commission.
We have a motion to approve. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
Mayor, one quick question. Mr. Luna, there's no other buildings, correct? This is it?
I'm going to be bringing another, we don't know yet, we don't have the results, but there's 2 other buildings that are being tested for that.
Okay.
Apparently, there's 2 more buildings that maybe, we don't know yet.
Okay.
So probably I will bring another amendment back, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. The second was made by Commissioner Longoria. Motion was made by Commissioner Troyani. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item 16, consideration and action to authorize amendment number 35 to provide professional services associated with the construction of the FBO Fixed Base Operator Hangar Project. Amendment number 36 to provide professional services associated with RFP proposal evaluation and construction phase services for the Texas Department of Agriculture Facility Project. And amendment number 38 to the Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport.
Basically, these 3 amendments are part of the contract with HNTV, and it's basically to allow HNTV to monitor the construction, these 3 construction projects as mandated by FAA, and we're paying for these amendments with GBIC money and FAA money. On the analysis, you can see the breakdown for each amendment. We're basically talking about a 19% fee for these 3 amendments. The total amount of the amendments is $557,229. The cost of the 3 construction projects is $2,906,677, with 34 cents, so it's basically a 19%, 19.17%.
Would approve?
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Longoria. Can I have a second? A second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Camarillo. Any further discussion?
Quick question, Mr. Luna.
Yes, sir.
How do we, who generates these amounts? Is it something they provided us, office payroll is going to amount to $6,300, overhead's going to be $98.26?
What they base
Who
this on
generates-
the probable construction cost. If you see on the breakdown that you see on the screen,
Right, who generates those numbers?
these are generated by the contractor, by the engineering firm. And they're submitted to the airport, in this case, the department for review, and then that's how they submit it to us for
Do
approval.
we check if these numbers are comparable to, say, another company, or if?
Yeah, well, basically, that's why I was giving you the percentage.
Okay.
Like on streets, usually it's between 8.5% to up to 12%. In this type of engineering services, we have a 19% because it's consultation, and it's a little bit more detailed work compared to just street drainage improvements. So it's a good percentage.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Please note my abstention. Estelle?
Okay, so you were an aye? Aye, okay. You were aye? Commissioner Camarillo, you were an aye?
I was an aye.
Okay, I vote aye.
No, I was aye.
Aye.
4 ayes.
4 ayes. This one.
That was a nay.
Move to adjourn?
Okay,
Thank you.
Wait a second.
Second.
Wait a second, let's make sure it gets in the record. Commissioner Trahan voted nay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
you.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
I want to go home now. It's already over, no? It's already over. The first degree?
Where's Robert? Okay, how you doing? Where's Robert?
I've been there in 6 months, so maybe I'll go by. Oh, really?
Oh. Because they didn't do their homework when they painted it very, everything was fine and everything, remember? Is it, all the problems could be solved? It didn't work out that way. I think that's wrong. That's right. I agree. Sometimes being the Lone Ranger, what can I say? But history would judge me correctly. It's just they send me attachments from the city hall, I can't open them. Now I want to take that laptop with me.